Thanks for tuning into this earnings conversation with Motherson Sumi. Q1 on expected lines was a washout, but there is strong demand cited for quarter two, encouraged by consistent improvement at greenfield plants of SMP, in the words of the management. So let me not try and emulate those words of the management, but get in Mr. Vivek Chaand Sehgal himself to talk about this. Mr. Sehgal, thanks so much for joining in. Can you tell us a bit about whether the quarter went exactly on expected lines, or did it kind of become a bit worse than what you thought?
No, definitely. I think people had expectations that April and May would have been a little bit uh, better than say March, but actually the situation got quite bad in those months. So I think whatever you're seeing just now is probably the latter half of May and mostly June. Good news is that each month we get better and better, stronger. But the ability to close out on the issues that we had is something that we used our time very well. We re-laid out our plans. We could actually, because it was a kind of a break. So in this quarter, we did planning for the next quarter. So we believe that even though this quarter was a washout, but we will come out that much more stronger in the coming quarters because all those things that we wished we could do, but we didn't have the time or we didn't have a chance because the pressure was always so high. We could do that. So I think in that sense, we are that much better and more enthused for the coming quarters.
I read the presentation of the earnings release, Mr. Sehgal, and it speaks about how quarter two there is strong demand cited. But I also read, Mr. Sehgal, that consolidated capacity utilization across all the plants is still hovering around 50%. Now, two ways to look at it: that it is already above 50%, or one way to look at it is that it is still only at 50% despite strong demand. Can you decipher this for us?
So I think the thing is that we wanted to give you some kind of a sense in globally. We divided the globe into four parts and we put that up in the highlights portion. So you can see the way the green is overtaking all the other colors tells you that the customer itself is growing more and more. So one of the good ways of looking at Motherson is we are 100% a mirror copy of what the OEM is. So if our OEM in those particular countries is going more than 75%, we are also more than 75%. So I think for me, it is good news because you can see how the impact of June and versus July is being shown to all of you. And almost about 60% of our plants are operating more than 75%. So I think there's good news there.
Mr. Sehgal, China might be doing a lot better than the others. Just a question on China versus the other geographies. And part two of my question, if you can humor me, about how do you foresee the auto demand to be like in India? Because I hear from Mr. R.C. Bhargava that hatchbacks would continue to do well, but we have the low base. So therefore, even on that low base, the numbers might look okay. But do you believe that the numbers and the sales and the demand could actually come back to pre-COVID, or is it difficult to uh, kind of
So in fact,
guess?
it's going to go beyond pre-COVID because I think the definition of personal mobility has changed. People who can afford are buying bikes, are buying cars, buying. You see how what is happening to the second-hand car market. It's a different story altogether there. So I'm just saying that there is tremendous amount of demand which is there. Yet people are hesitant to come out of their houses. There are multiple reasons, and I really don't want to get into that argument. But I think once the people have the confidence to go out, I'm sure they're going to be making a beeline for buying cars, bikes, everything which is personal mobility. Because think about it, a car or a bike is your personal safe area. You know everything what has happened into that
Sure.
car, into that bike. So I think the definition of personal mobility has changed dramatically.
You reckon it's possible for you to try and second guess, sir, as to whether capacity utilization levels generally? I know China is doing well, some of the other plants are above 70, but as a consolidated entity, can it move substantially higher than the 50, 52%, 53% that you might be at currently? Is it possible to predict that?
I would say that it is definitely going to be more than what it was earlier, for sure, for last year, for example. Because I think last year, everybody's mindset was a different mindset. But because of this COVID, and I don't see an end to this coming in the next, year and a half, as what people are telling me. So I see that it's going to be a matter of concern. Plus, also, I think globally, the governments have thrown a lot of money into the markets, into the people's hand, and things like that. So they will use this to protect themselves, I think. So it's going to be
Okay.
better. But when is anybody's guess?
Okay, sure. So therefore, what does it do for the other metrics, Mr. Sehgal? I mean, how do the operational metrics look like in quarter 2? If indeed strong demand is cited, can it look much better, substantially better than quarter 1? What about your return ratios? I've always heard you say ROAS at
Uh,
40, etc. Does it get completely altered in the current year?
Yeah, so as I explained to you, our teams have done something phenomenal. They have used the last 3 months in a manner that they could improve their layouts, they could improve all the bottlenecks could have been removed and things like that. So the efficiency is going to be better. Definitely, that's going to lead to better profitability amongst all the products that we are making, while keeping the demand at a minimum of say 60-70% also. I think they will do a better job. That's the kind of inclination that we have, the kind of information that we're getting from our teams. And I think almost all our customers are really working very hard to come up to the numbers. So as the numbers will go up, definitely our profitability and our returns are going to become better.
Okay. One last question, Mr. Sehgal. A lot of the pain in quarter gone by can be recouped. The number that has gone up and might stay higher, and I would want your view there, is the debt number compared to March, much higher. Uh, uh,
So,
any thoughts on what
so
the indebtedness would look like?
so I think
9,000 crores.
almost
That's right.
about,
Sorry.
yeah, it's all right, no worries. About 900 crores is what the working capital consumption, which is going to get evened out very quickly. So you can see that thing will come down. There is some euro, what do you call, price movement also on that. So the euros become stronger. So versus the dollar and the rupee. So you have those particular things over there. There's a small capex which is there, about 350, 400 crores, which is also showing up in the debt figure just now. But I think you give it a quarter or two, and you will find everything will get normal and come back to normal.
Oh,
The other
okay.
thing
Which
that
is
we
hard.
should also think is that globally we have got a lot of money from the governments, So since there is no way to treat it, we have also treated it as a debt kind of an instrument at the moment. But it could also be that it's a written off thing. So I think give it another quarter, 2 quarters, and there'll be much more clarity coming as to the debt figure.
Okay, so demand looks okay quarter 2, quarter 3, and debt might actually come down quarter 3. So you are in a better shape as things stand compared to maybe what you were at the start of quarter of the current calendar as well. Would that be a fair
Absolutely.
assessment?
Absolutely. And we are that much more fitter. So, even the greenfields, we have been able to reduce our manpower by almost half. So, all
Okay.
that particular, we got the time and the luxury to sit down and actually go through all the problems and sort them out. And also pick up the right people from different parts, especially in countries which are where, there was a constraint of manpower in that particular state or that particular factory. So we could solve all those particular issues. So in that sense, it was kind of a heaven sent opportunity.
Glad to hear that. Mr. Sehgal, stay safe, more importantly, and all the best for the quarters ahead. Thank you for speaking
Thank
to
you so
us.
very much for having me. Bye.
Thanks for tuning into that earnings conversation with Vivek Chaand Sehgal of Motherson Sumi.